when you consider the performance they put in last night. By the way, I wouldn't say they were fortunate, but if that Daley Blind header goes in, which it should have done at 1-1, things might have been different. I'm watching the game thinking, I've only predicted 2-2, I'm only going to get it. I always missed it. But what I will say about Liverpool, I was going to ask you whether or not you think they've turned it around, they've turned the corner. Okay, and I'll ask you that as well. But their results so far in the Premier League, they haven't been great. Their performances haven't been great. But, Spurs, it was their first defeat last night. And we'll talk about Spurs later, but they haven't been brilliant, Spurs, this season. So I just wonder if there's maybe a little bit of panic surrounding Liverpool, maybe a little bit too much, because they have had injuries in key areas, like you said, in midfield as well. Would you say this is maybe not the turning point? It's so early in the season to say that, but have they started to turn things around? Are they starting to look like the old Liverpool?
Well, I would even say last night, I wouldn't say they still look like the old Liverpool, but I think when you look at this Liverpool team that Jurgen Klopp's assembled for the last few years, certainly, their standards have been so high, not conceding many goals, not losing many games at home, completely dismantling teams, the energy, the way they press, the way they get at teams running in behind, playing with that real enthusiasm, that real tempo. They've lost that a little bit. Now that comes with, as you said, injuries, certain players leaving, Sadio Mane, these type of situations that you have. So I wouldn't say they've turned the corner, because as you said, it's still so early in the season. But when they start to get players back, it was important they got a result last night. They had to bounce back from that awful showing at Napoli. They had to show something, because that could have been 6-7, really, when you look at the penalty miss and different scenarios. It was about winning this game. The Ajax are no mugs. They're a good side. They're number one in their division, haven't lost a game this season. I don't think they've even drawn a game in the league. I think they've won all of them. So it was difficult for them. It was going to be a difficult game for Liverpool. But again, they dug in. There was times they had to kind of ride it out when Ajax had a few waves of attacks and caused them problems. But they kept going. They dug into the very end. Matip scores the goal, and it gives them something to build off.
Do they have any concerns? You mentioned Napoli, right? Tore them apart. They tore them apart down the right-hand side, right? Last night, if you can imagine the sort of the field being split up into three. So you got the middle of the park. So you got the centre half area, the left back, and the right area. 56% of the attacks against Liverpool were down Trent's side, and of course one of them led to a goal as well. There've always been question marks over his defensive abilities.
More so now than ever.
Yeah, is that a worry? Look, he's never going to be dropped, right? He is a phenomenal, not fantastic. He's a phenomenal player.
I think as a fullback, and with his attributes that he's got, his passing, his technique, I think he's probably the most gifted fullback we've ever produced in terms of that side of the ball.
Yeah, he's ridiculous.
Passing, his delivery,
totally.
everything. But defensively is a concern. It has to be.
So what do you do with a player like that?
We've got to try and help him. I mean, you've got to try and get the person in front of him to maybe double up on the wide man, whether it be Salah drop back in a bit. Maybe one of the midfield players has got to drop in and help him. But I think recently what's not helped as well is that obviously Matip's been out, Konate's been out. Gomez has not helped him on that right-hand side either. Yeah. So you saw against Napoli.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Everything was going down that side. Now, if your rapport with that right-sided centre-half isn't great and he's a bit shaky with his form, then it's what are you supposed to do? Because there's no communication there. Gomez is probably playing in a situation where he's thinking, you know what, my performances haven't been great, so I need to worry about myself. Trent's probably thinking, well, I don't want to make a mistake, so I'm maybe overcommitting a little bit, going inside a bit too much. So it's a tough one for Trent to be in. But as I said, we've been speaking about his defending for a while, and I think there'll be serious question marks around whether he goes to the World Cup with Gareth, because Gareth's already left him out of a couple squads.
Yeah. He was injured for the Euros, right? He was in the squad, and then
before that, he'd been left out. But then
I remember. Yeah,
but to be fair to him, he turned his form around in that period. He was left out, got himself back in the squad. But then you start looking at Reece James is obviously going to go. Kyle Walker for me is still the number one. Yeah, Trippier. Gareth says to love Trippier
to play the side, right?
So does Trent even go? And with these defensive displays that he's showing at the minute, you'd have to say probably not. I mean, the goal last night, you go back to the Champions League final where he doesn't check his shoulder.
Can you
it's
play
happening
him
week in, week out?
Can you play him? Let's just say that we're playing in a game of the World Cup. We're 2-1 down with 15 minutes to go, and you bring on a big lad up front. Harry Kane, we know what his ability's like anyway, heading the ball. Say Ivan Toney's playing, right? He comes on. Can he play the quarterback role, Trent? Can you bring him on to ping that long diagonal ball?
No, because you've got Declan Rice and people like that can do that. You've got Ward. If you're going to go that route, you might as well put on Ward-Prowse, because Ward-Prowse probably is probably better at dead balls, at free kicks, set plays, delivery with the ball.
I don't mean set play. I mean, like, you're in the
picking
game up the ball
and just spraying it.
Yeah,
no, we've got good enough footballers in the England squad to do that job equally as well.
Can you put him anywhere then? Can you? Okay, this is going to sound nuts, but bear with me. Can you play him as a front three?
No,
you can't.
That's not his position. He's a
I know he's not.
He's a fullback.
I know he's not.
And okay, but if you play him as a front three, think about the talent that you're leaving out that play in them attacking areas. Okay. Sancho, Foden, Grealish, Mount, and those that have had a great season. Rashford. Sterling.
So there's nowhere else he can go.
No, right, but he's not a forward player. He's not a
No,
right
I know
winger.
he's not. I know
he's a
he's not.
full back. And I know, and as I said, for me, going forward with his abilities, his passing, his technique, he's probably one of the most gifted fullbacks we've had. But defensively, there's a real concern there.
Okay.
talkSPORT Drive with Andy Goldstein. Monday to Friday afternoon from 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.